Wild Gilberts. Welcome to my gym. And I'm doing a Facebook Live tonight on the question of when should I craft my story? And for those of you that do not know me, I've been involved in network marketing over 40 years. I share a lot of what I learned in my journey on these live calls. And I started in this business totally broke. I sold a junk truck to get started, put $200 into my business, and I've been full-time for the last 28 years. If you have to work, there's no place like home. And so I'm going to acknowledge some great people that are going to join us. And then I'm going to talk about this question, when should I craft my story? And hey, John in Baltimore, Johnny on the spot, look at you. Good to see you, John. Hope you're doing well. John in Baltimore, by the way. You can say where you're from if you would like. Georgia, New York City. Cindy. Nice to see you, Cindy. Forgot where you're from, but good to see you. Judy, good evening. I hope you're doing well. You know, I love this time of year, autumn. The mountains here, the leaves are starting to change in the upper elevations. It's just beautiful. CC, nice to see you. Good to see you. That's an interesting last name, by the way, which is why I did not try to pronounce it. Good to see you. Washington, D.C. Oh, wow, okay. You didn't have any statues get tore down at your place, did you? Just messing with you. Okay, good to see you. And then Henry in the Philippines. Good to see you. How are you? I'm coming live in my gym, by the way. So I've just got out of the hot box, out of the sauna. Debbie in Indiana. Nice to see you, Debbie. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. It's been a busy week. Oh, you're Polish. Okay, that says it. That explains some of the reason why that was a little bit of a challenge. Jenny in North Carolina, nice to see you. Interesting, Polish. All right. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, busy week. I got a wedding here. This will be the third wedding that we have had at our house. So my son's getting married here Saturday out on the deck with the beautiful background of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. But it'll be the third wedding we've had. And so it's interesting. We've already had 3 weddings. Good to see you. Esther, nice to see you. Oh, she says good morning. That's because it is morning in the Philippines. You're welcome, Debbie. So when we talk about crafting our story, that's a question that many, when they come into this profession, they don't do, because they feel there is no story. There is no story. For them, it's only a story if it's a story about success. And so until they experience success, they don't have a story. That's what most think when they join the business. And so the thing is, the problem with that is that with that thinking that one day they'll craft their story if they are successful, most likely that story's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. And it's a real shame. It's a real shame because that's usually the way it is set up in the real world, right? I mean, no one's going to buy a New York Times bestseller or buy a book that's of someone that hasn't been successful, right? But we have to remember this is network marketing. And generally, whatever the world does, we do the opposite. I mean, look how bad things have been since February, right, with COVID. And when things get bad, our business gets great. Why is that? It's because we do things differently, always differently. And it's true here too. Here's the thing. I really believe that you got to find your story if you're ever going to be successful. You have to find your story if you're ever going to be successful. I mean, there's a story buried inside you. And that's what I want to talk about now. I mean, think about it. Are there people in the past that were never successful in terms of the world, the way they define success? Stories that inspire you, of course. You can think of Jesus. You can think of Gandhi. You can think of Mother Teresa. You can think of Nelson Mandela. The list goes on, right? So the thing is, those people, by the world's terms or definition of success, would never have been, when you met them in their early part of their life, successful people. They weren't. So the thing is, they didn't wait to accomplish great things before they followed their passion. It was the reverse. They followed their passion, their purpose in life, and as a result, success chased them like a shadow. It overwhelmed them in a good way. In a good way. And for that, they're remembered well for what they did, for what they contributed to the world. So the thing is, but if they would have waited to accomplish great things and said, well, I'm just not going to follow my passion, my purpose in life until I accomplish great things, then it wouldn't have happened for them. So we can get lessons from that. It all begins with, this is what we have to understand. It all begins when you make a decision. When you make a decision. That is, you take a position about what is most important in your life. What defines you? What is your purpose in life? And you use your business as a way to accelerate your journey in getting you to the things that matter most to you. See, nobody ever woke up one day and said, I can't wait to get started in network marketing. No, when we found what we found, we said, wow, now with this, I can do the very things I could never do before. Either you're going to have more time or you're going to have more finances. I mean, I love giving every month. There's causes I give to. Can't do it broke. What good is being broke? We're no good. I mean, we need to be people that contribute, that give, that help, that make a difference. And we do that by being productive. By being productive. But the thing is, I want you to understand this. The circumstances that drove you to make a decision to do what you do is the beginning of your story. Again, I want to say that. The circumstances that drove you to make a decision to do what you do is the beginning of your story. That's why I said you have to find your story. What were the circumstances that drove you to make a decision to get involved in your business, in network marketing? What was that? That's the beginning of your story. Now here's the other thing. But making a decision to do it because you aligned that with your purpose in life is how you find it. That's how you find it. Circumstances drove you to it, but it was the decision to do it. That is, to align it with your purpose in life is how you find it. Most important, because as I said on other live calls that I've done, that my first 14 years in network marketing was just a hobby. I played with it. It was fun. I do meetings, have a whiteboard, draw circles, have crowds come to our meetings. That's what we did in the late 1980s and 1990s. That's what we did. It was interesting, but I wasn't committed to it. See, I had not made that decision. See, it was extra money, and I liked it. It was fun. But I had not aligned it with my purpose and made a decision and said, you know what? I'm going to do this because I've got this, that, and the other that I want to accomplish in my lifetime. And I won't be able to do that doing what I'm doing now. It's not going to happen. It's not in the cards for me. And when we do that, then that's when everything changes. That's called threshold. The view changes. You think differently. You act differently. You talk differently. And you attract different people, the right people, to you. Because they can read that in you. That you have found something that they're curious about. And so when you talk about your business, of course, you're talking about to others about things that you want to do, your purpose in life. You're really spending more time, where other people will spend their time talking about the features of their products, the statistics of their products, what the products do. People are so bombarded with data. I mean, I was reading that today. An interesting statistic that that 90% of the data, the knowledge that we have and use every day, has been accumulated in the last 2 years. I mean, more data has been accumulated. We're bombarded with data. People are bombarded with data. And then you see that people want to talk about the features of their products, how scientific they are. Look at these studies. Things like that. People are going, oh no, not more data, man. I'm so data out, I can't handle data. That's right. People are like a sponge, What they want to hear is stories. No surprise, right? We were that way when we were kids. We loved it when our parents would read us stories. I love doing it with my youngest son, Arthur. I do. I love going to his bedroom saying, hey, let's do a story. It's a lot of fun. But as adults, nothing really changes. Is it no wonder that videos are so popular now? Is because people really prefer to see it in a story format. Whatever you're trying to teach, whatever you're trying to talk about. But what's got to show up here, in this case here, is how your story aligns with your purpose in life. And that's really what you're talking about. For example, I'm just going to talk, well, what about me? Okay. I can tell you that I was so passionate about network marketing because I wanted time freedom. I wanted time freedom to be able to travel the world. I wanted to be involved with my music. I wanted to get back into my music. I wanted to start songwriting, going into a studio with musicians. I wanted to do those things. Those things were important to me. And I wanted more time with my family and children. I didn't want to be an absentee father. I mean, how many parents feel that way today? They feel like a lousy parent because they just don't have quality time with their children. Because they work long hours and then they come home tired, they're exhausted, they want to rest, they just want to veg out on the couch. But inside, they don't feel good about it. But they don't know a way out. They can't find the door. It's like going into one of those, I forgot, what do you call those rooms? I've been in that. I went in that one time with Ray Higdon. We went into that one of those rooms. You can help me out with that. But It's like trying to find a door and you can't find a door, right? And that's the way it is with people. So the thing about it is when I saw that I had this vehicle called network marketing that I could align with my purpose, I said, yes, it's going to give me the very things that I want to do. And that's what I focus. And so my story is about that. It's about that. So let's talk about some action steps. Some action steps to take to help craft your story. And then, there's 4 things I want to focus on. I mean, we could go for hours on this, but we're going to just keep it simple, okay? I'm just going to focus on this feature of it. So I'm not going to get into the why. I think I've already touched on some of that. But we got to find your story. Find your story. Then you want to tell your story. Then you want to add to your story. And then you don't want to pasteurize your story. We'll talk about that because I've seen many people do that. So again, talking about your story, again, you have to find it, right? Circumstances drove you to do what you do. That was the beginning of your story. But how did you find your story? Is when you align it with your purpose in life and you make a decision to do it. That's where you get, it's just you're going to do it. You got your heart in it. Before it was just your head. Never works that way. Never works that way. If you lead with your head, you're going to get negative. You're going to find reasons that why this doesn't work, things like that. No, your heart is involved in it. So again, finding your story, again, is finding your purpose in life. What makes you you? What are you about? That's the key thing. You have to discover that. People want to know, who are you? What are you about? I remember one time when I was at a Beyond Leadership event with Eric Worre, and I think there was 100 people in the room at that training. And that was one thing Eric was always big about when he met leaders. First question he always asked any leader is, what's your story? And he did it for 2 reasons. One, he wanted to know, who are you? Number 2, he wants you to understand how important this is. And if you blink and if you hesitate, you don't know your story. You just don't know it. And so in my case, my story is that I was a small business owner for 13 years. I had a business, had employees. I had 2 major accounts. I piddled with network marketing. It was a hobby to me for 14 years. And then I lost my 2 major accounts. I went into bankruptcy, couldn't save my company, lived off what little money I had left, sold off equipment, lived off that money until finally I didn't have anything. And the only thing that was left was a junk truck. I found a network marketing company that I was passionate about. I was passionate about things I wanted to do with my life. I sold that truck for $400. I put $200 into my business, and I've been full-time ever since. You notice how that just comes out of me? I don't have to search for it. So when someone asks you what's your story, or if they don't ask you, again, you got to lead with your story. Because again, if you appeal to their minds, now we're talking data. Look at my product, look at the features, look at these scientific studies. Oh, their eyes are spinning. Oh, go away. We lead with our heart. We connect to them with our heart, and we're sharing our story about how bad it was. And you're like, and again, and let me say something there. It's not like it had to be bad. Obviously, there were circumstances that drove you to do what you did. right, in joining your company. My case, it was broke, bankruptcy. Not everybody goes through that. I get that. And to become great in network marketing, you do not have to go through traumatic tragedy. Okay, I want you to understand that. There are people that shift careers and come right into this. Now, again, there were circumstances that drove them. That's true. Some liked the product and then they just started recommending it to some of their friends, and next thing they know, they're getting residual income. They say, wow, this is cool. What if I took this serious? Or they see what's going on with COVID and things are shifting right now. There's so much uncertainty. They're saying, you know what? I need a plan B. Okay? But not all success stories were people who were tragically financially ruined, such as I was, okay? And you don't have to be in those circumstances to become great. I think that's important. I wanted to say that. But just understand that, find your story, share your passion of why you're doing this. And if it's because you want to be contribute to a quality family life, time with your children, or have time to do the things in life you want to do. Maybe you're going to be a sculptor. Maybe you're a painter. Maybe you want to go do ballet. Maybe you want to sing opera. I don't know what you want to do. Maybe you want to go out and just be a missionary. I don't know. Whatever that passion is. But the thing is, you have to talk about it from the position that under the present circumstances, you'd never be able to do that. But now that you're doing this, now it's going to put you on the fast track to get you to where you want to go. And people are thinking, wow, there's things I want to do too. Maybe I can do what you do. That's why a story is so important. Because you've got to connect with the heart. Now, here's the other thing. You want to tell your story, right? So to get good at telling a story means you have to do what? Practice it. Practice it. So you might want to write it down. Write it down because you're going to find the right words, the way that you want to say it. You're going to be able to analyze it and make sure it's not, again, going to data. You're staying with your heart, not your head, and you're leading with your purpose in life. And then you're going to do what? You're going to practice it. You're going to look at that piece of paper and you're going to practice it. So that way it just becomes second nature, just like I did for you. I demonstrated for you right now. All I got to do is hit my button, and then I talk to people about my story in life. Keep in mind, again, you do not have to be successful to share a story. Circumstances drove you to where you are now. So you already got a story. You have to find the story. How you find it is you'll align it with your purpose in life. And then you make a decision to do it. That's key. Very important. And then number 3, you want to add to your story. This is important. Because, again, I'll mention my story of 28 years ago, right? 28 years ago. I'm not bored with my story. I'm not. But I also understand that it's important to lead with current stories. What are you doing now? What are you doing now? Again, to promote my business, I don't have to go to horrible, tragic circumstances, right? No. I simply talk about what I'm doing now. What gives me joy now? And one thing, and you're probably doing this, how many of you are using Facebook stories? That's another way to add to your story, is share stories. Get good at sharing stories. It's amazing to me how many people watch and look at stories versus what you post on your page. I'm not saying don't post on your page. You can do that, and you can do Facebook Lives. But I'm telling you, stories are powerful. They're very powerful if you want to connect with people. People want to just see, they want to get to know who you are, What do you do every day? And you might consider some of what you're doing is pretty boring. No, have fun with it. Just have fun with it. I do it here with the bears. You've seen that. Just anything, it's it could be goofy stuff. But use it and have fun with it. And just make it a point every day to try to at least share a story. Add to your story. It'll give people a chance to be able to look at you in a different way and say, you know what? She's really vulnerable. I mean, she's really opening herself up. She's really showing who she is. Wow, look at her, man. Look what's going on in her kitchen with the kids. Man, she's real. She's like me. That's right. You need to be relatable to people. Now here's number 4, and this is the last one. Don't pasteurize your story. And what I mean by that is once you become successful, don't get ego. I've seen this all the time with people. They get proud, they get ego because they're making a lot of money. And now they got ego, pride. They don't want to talk about the hard times when it came to their stories. They changed their stories. And then I've seen this even at events, and you look at the people on the front row, they're going, they're asleep. Story's not even interesting anymore. No, be raw, be real, be vulnerable. Most important. People want to know what it was like. And even now, be raw, be real, be vulnerable in your Facebook stories, in what you post. People want to know who you are. Don't be afraid to share it. Don't be afraid to share how bad things were back when you got started. Or if it's hard right now for you, share it. It's okay. That's the thing about, I'm a big believer that you can't have the rainbow without the rain. I want to sell the rain as much as I want to sell the sunshine. And I want people to understand that. When they get involved in this business, they need to understand it's going to be challenging. If you want to become successful in this, if you really want this, to align this with your purpose in life, so you can go do those things you want to do, just understand it won't be easy, but it will be worth it. But in the job that you have, what you're doing, that'll never be worth it. And that will never change. Matter of fact, you may not have one. So the thing is, I think transparency is very, very important. And so when you come across that way in your stories, when you talk, people are going to respect you for it. So those are my thoughts from the gym. And I hope you got some value out of that. And if you did, you can share it if you want. And if you haven't got my book, Reaching the Peak, it's on Amazon. It's in Spanish too. I don't read Spanish, but it's a good Spanish translation. So anyway, but English and Spanish. But thanks for joining me tonight. And I'll give you out some value tomorrow. And yeah, thanks again for tuning in. Love all you guys. You're awesome. You're awesome. Stay positive. Unplug from the media negativity. They are so over the top. Incredibly. Yeah, it's amazing what's going on. How different platforms, I'll just say, try to control information in this country. It's unreal. But the thing is, I'm a big believer in liberty and freedom, and that's what network marketing gives us. We want to keep it that way. So everyone, have a good evening, and look forward to seeing you a little later. I'll put out some value tomorrow. Take care.